Hello, welcome to Board Deck and Dice. Today we're taking a look at Merlin, the latest, I think, game from Stephan Feld. Let's see how it plays and I'll come back and talk about it after that other bit that we do in the middle. See you soon. This is a Feld game, so it's all about the points. You will avoid losing points by using shields to defeat traitors, and gain points by taking majorities in the kingdoms and the environs. Here, blue and red are tied for a 6-point territory, and so red just pops one in. You can also gain points by landing on certain spaces in the rondel. This one gives a point per flag you currently own. Another way to score points is by completing the mission cards. This one gives 3 points for completing the objectives on the left there. To do all this, you'll be rolling dice. The white dice relates to the movement of Merlin, which everyone can do, and the red dice to the movement of your own coloured pawn, matching the colour of the dice ofs. So, Merlin, if you'd rolled a 1, he would move left or right. And let's say you'd rolled a 3 for your red one, you move them in the clockwise direction only, taking that action. Say you're not happy with the roll, you can use an apple to change it, even though I just completely put it on the same number. Or if you have any flags, they can mitigate dice rolls or where you land with your pawn. Action spaces do various things like grabbing construction where you have influence, swapping out your objective cards, putting a building in the environs, and these steps allow you entrance to a kingdom. If you land on the stairway to a kingdom, you can play a henchman. The queen lets you put more influence in. The out of focus shield bearer lets you gain a shield which you used against those traitors. Guess what the flag bearer does? That's right, lets you take one of those flags which lets you mitigate luck. And the builder lets you take a construction material for use in the environs. There is a little expansion module included where if you score an objective card, instead of taking the points, you can place one of 4 seals out onto this board, which gives you on the top 2 rows a permanent upgrade. If you score a level 3 card, you can take a upgrade on the bottom, which can be used once per every 2 rounds. Basically, once you get to a scoring phase, as indicated here, you flip it back over to use again. At the end of the game, there is a final scoring phase after the 3 scoring phases you've already done. What is Merlin? Merlin employs some familiar mechanics to those players who have played Stephan Feld games before. You have hexes, you have dice rolling, and you have various ways to mitigate those dice rolls. I have seen good and bad reviews of Merlin, some people feeling the luck element was too heavy, but in the games we've played we never felt that we lost out due to bad dice rolls. We felt there was always something you could do. Now it's really important to mitigate dice rolls to get either apples and or flags, and flags mitigate dice rolls in various different ways. They either mitigate where you land on the rondel, or they mitigate one of them can flip your dice over, whereas apples give you a choice of any number. You also have Merlin staffs, which let you use the spot Merlin lands on twice. Now, I get what people are saying, because if you roll a certain number and you haven't got any of those options, you're always going to go the total of the 3 dice. So you know your last space, and then it's choosing the path between those, and also when to use Merlin. Now, I find that quite strategic. I could see that I wanted to use Merlin first. If he stayed where he was, I was going to get the action I want, but I wasn't ready to use that action, so you have to risk waiting and doing something else first. I really like the way the henchmen work, and there's some kind of area control battles going on there and in the environs. The environs, you get the score of the size of the same type of environ. So if you have a mountain environ that's 5 and you control that, you're going to get 5 points every 2 rounds, and that's quite a good way of scoring points.
You can't really neglect the cards though, and I always play with the expansion that lets you upgrade, because if you can get one of those bottom level upgrades, they're really powerful, but you can only use them 3 times a game. When you use them, they flip over to a cross side until the next scoring when they flip back up. But some of those are really powerful, like letting you build twice in the environs, letting you place characters anywhere around, and so it can be well worth exchanging a few points for an upgrade. I think it can slow down a little bit with people thinking about where they want to go. Generally, it does move along a bit better than some games, because the only one you're kind of trying to consider what other people are doing is Merlin, because that's the one everyone can move, and Merlin can go both ways. Whereas your character can only go one way, so really your choices are to take the dice as you see them, or to try and mitigate them. The traitor mechanic works really well. Every 2 rounds you're going to have to get rid of those traitors, otherwise you're going to lose 3 points for each one that you don't defeat with a shield. And then Excalibur and the Holy Grail add some interesting mechanics too. Excalibur, as soon as you claim it, will kill one of the traitors, but also if you have that at a scoring point and you manage to clear the traitors, you're going to get a bonus 3 points. The Holy Grail gives you an apple, and that also acts as a tiebreaker in one of the kingdom's area control elements. I've had a really great time with Merlin. It looks quite complicated as you go in, there's a lot to take in, but the iconography is consistent, and as you get used to it, it will make sense to you. There isn't that many rules. You're just kind of rolling a dice and getting used to which icon does, and that's the best way to teach it, really. Teach through the rondel. The player boards are great, they keep everything contained and remind you of everything, so your flags go on the side, everything else goes on there, you put the dice on there when you have used them, so that works well too. Yes, ultimately Merlin is a game that comes down to a bit of luck, and how lucky you like your games will depend on how much you like Merlin. I suppose in theory you could get hosed by dice rolls, but there's things in there to kind of stop that happening. If you roll 3 of the same numbers, you roll all your dice again, and the mitigations that I've already talked about. So I find it hard to believe that you could be that unlucky for a whole game, and because there's so many ways to score points, you should be able to achieve something, even if it's just scoring a load of those point cards. So all in all, for me, Merlin is a good game, a game that I really enjoy. So, intimidation factor. This is going to be mid to high because of the amount of icons. The setup is quite lengthy. You have to set up each kingdom, the environs, the player boards. There's quite a lot to set up, and then there's quite a lot to take in, especially for new players. So there is an amount of intimidation here. Fun, I had loads of fun with this, trying to work out and race people to certain things, and that's where the interaction really lies, in the environs area control and the kingdom area control, but also just beating people to things, taking the order cards that you think they might want. So it's not heavy player interaction, but it is there, especially in the area control elements. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I like this amount of luck, and then using your luck the best way possible. I really enjoy games like that. The rulebook does a good job. I find Queen rulebooks are generally quite good, and it explains everything. I didn't have any problems with it. It didn't jump out as being supreme, but I didn't have any problems with it. Would I add it to my collection? Yes, I would love to add Merlin to my collection. It's one I'll be looking out for, because I'll be sending this review copy on. Would I play it again? I certainly would play it again. I'd add it to my collection, I'd play it again, and I would suggest to play it as well with people who enjoy Feld games, who are looking for perhaps a little bit of a lighter game than some of his other ones. Yeah, definitely lighter than some of his other ones, and who don't mind a bit of luck. And yeah, from what I've seen and played of the game, I think the negative reviews are perhaps a little harsh. So that is Merlin from Queen Games and Stephan Feld. Thanks very much for watching Board Deck and Dice. We will see you next time.